Once upon a time, a Junkman had a dream.
Somewhere in space, this may all be happening right now.
In the wake of Star Wars, all three TV networks wanted a sci-fi show, knowing kids couldn't get enough of space-themed adventures. In the wake of Star Wars, you got Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Jason the Starkman, Future Cop, Quark, and many others. The truth is a lot of these shows were greenlit before Star Wars, but Star Wars just pushed TV networks to do more science fiction. After a man landed on the moon in the summer of 1969, science fiction was born, at least to the kids of the 70s. Space 1999, Logan's Run, The Star Lost, Art 2, and so many others would grace TV network, either on Saturday mornings or in prime time. Cowboys were out and spacemen were in.
3PO, human cyborg relations, and this is my counterpart, R2-D2.
Hello. Sheriff, I have something to say.
Also out, The Andy Griffith Show. The sitcom of Mayberry Sheriff Andy Taylor and his sidekick deputy Barney Fife started in 1960, but was retooled after 1968 when its star Andy Griffith wanted to move on. The show was still number one in the ratings at the time, so it was renamed with a new lead, Ken Berry, into Mayberry RFD. The new show had lost its humor. In fact, the Andy Griffith Show had already lost most of its humor when it had jumped to color in 1965. The show was just never good once they added color. And also it didn't help that same year it lost Don Knotts as the bumbling Barney Fife, and they got a whole new team of writers. After walking away from the show that made him a household name, Andy Griffith wanted another hit show, but one that was different, one that would show that he was more than just a country sheriff of Mayberry. Andy soon found getting another TV show hit wasn't all that easy. In 1970, he starred in Headmaster, and it would last 13 episodes. The following year, he would star in the new Andy Griffith Show. The name made it sound like this was the new season of his former sitcom, but it was a totally different show. This time, Andy would play a mayor of a small town, and it would only last 10 episodes. Finding it hard to break out of being the character Andy Taylor, Andy Griffith decided to start doing television movies, and stretching his acting abilities, playing darker characters that he was known for. In 1979, Andy was approached to return to television, this time as a junk dealer. Feeling this was some Sanford & Son ripoff, Andy was happy to learn that the script was a science fiction action drama, and Andy would play the lead, Harry Broderick, the owner of Jetson's Scrap and Salvage Company. Harry had one simple plan. He wanted to build a spaceship, go to the moon, salvage all the junk that was left there by the Apollo missions, and bring it back and sell it.
I want to build a spaceship, go to the moon, salvage all the junk that's up there, bring it back, sell it.
Now that was a premise unlike anything on television. Andy liked the script called Salvage-1, but turned it down, not wanting to do Saturday morning television. But he was quickly promised that the show would be on prime time and on the ABC network. Production started on a 2-hour TV movie pilot called Salvage. He was joined by co-star Joel Higgins, who many would come to know as the Silver Spoon's kid's dad a few years later. Joel would play former astronaut Anderson Carmichael, but everyone would just call him Skip. Also on the show was Trish Stewart as Madeline, who everyone would just call Mel. She was a NASA fuel expert. The somewhat villain of the show would be Richard Jacklin as Jack Klinger, an FBI agent tasked with keeping a very strict eye on Harry and his ragtag team. Although there was tension between Jack and the crew, they would come to his rescue like the time he was captured in Latin America by a dictator.
They built a rocket ship, and they went to the moon. Who knows what they'll do next?
The ship that would take them to the moon, Harry built from salvage from his junkyard, called the Vulture. The main body of the ship was the tank of a Texaco 18-wheeler truck, with a cement mixture as the capsule. After the pilot episode, the crew would use the rocket to find other junk to resell. They became stranded on a remote island off the coast of Africa and attacked by a giant ape. They discovered a Japanese soldier that believed it was still World War II. The crew would have to rescue a girl stuck in a bomb shelter, befriended an alien who crashed to Earth and took the form of Harry, giving Andy Griffith a chance to stretch his acting chops by playing two characters. In a 2-part episode, Skip faced death, in the cold of space when the heater in his space capsule broke. Harry became friends with a robot who was a runaway from a secret army base and was programmed to kill anyone that got in his way. And to end season 1, the crew got captured by greedy locals in the South as they were trying to locate gold that was hidden by a Confederate army.
Where do you want to set her down, the junkyard?
No, not the junkyard. They'll be waiting for us there. Well, where? Right there.
Harry, that's out in the middle of nowhere.
Always good to have an ace up your sleeve.
Season 2 didn't slow down as it started with a 2-part episode when a rival salvage company attempted to tow in an iceberg, resulting in disaster. The crew then had to round up a herd of wild horses before local ranchers could slaughter them. Also in season 2, Mel had to hire a surgeon to perform risky surgery on a horse using lasers. The season ended with just 6 episodes, with the last 4 never even being shown until the 90s. And in that final episode, Harry treated his crew to a trip to Hawaii and plans to mine a volcano of its diamonds. This all sounds so weird and crazy, you probably think I'm making it up. But this was just some of the plot lines from season 1 and 2. In season 1, the show didn't get great ratings, but it wasn't bad. It did have tough competition as it went up against WAKRP and Little House on the Prairie. But ABC believed in it, at least a little. For season 2, they moved it to Sunday nights. But after airing 2 episodes from season 2, ABC pulled the plug on the remaining 4 episodes. The New York Times called it an upscale white man Sanford & Son without the humor. Not sure if that's good or bad. Toy company Estelle Rockets even planned to make a toy rocket from the show, but it was canceled as quickly as the show itself. Overall, it's not a bad show. It's not a great show by any stretch, but it's not bad. If you like corny science fiction television show, Salvage-1 is one that you need to check out. With only 20 one-hour episodes, it's an easy watch. But this was yet another crushing hope for Andy Griffith to have another hit television show. It's rare for an actor to have 1 hit television show. 2 is almost impossible. But Andy would do it 6 years later with his 2nd hit television show, Matlock, for 9 seasons. Well, I hope you enjoyed this look at the forgotten television show, Salvage One. If you did, thumb up this video and I'll make more in this series. And as always, if you hadn't, subscribe to the channel.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.